I was looking on Google and I noticed searches for visual clutter is going bananas right now. Visual clutter is simply your everyday items that you're leaving out. They're causing clutter, but you're becoming clutter blind to them because you see them all the time. You may stop noticing the clutter, but subconsciously you definitely feel it. Visual clutter overwhelms your brain and it has a really negative effect on you. A lot of us are guilty of this kind of clutter and it's ruining our home. Today I'm sharing 10 very common mistakes that people make when it comes to having visual clutter in their home. And don't worry, I'm gonna give you these very simple fixes. You're gonna love these easy changes. So we live in a digital society, of course, and with that comes the use of computers and cell phones and TVs and all kinds of electronics. One of the biggest mistakes I see people making, people everywhere, just go into people's houses and you will see this. It's ignoring cable management. There are cords everywhere. There are charging cables all around. And people just don't even notice. You know, they have this beautiful living room and these beautiful TV spaces, and then they have these cords hanging down. I'm guilty of this as well. So my simple fix here is to start looking around as to where your electronics are and seeing, what can I do to fix these cords? Try to get creative about cable management. You could get a cable management box. I have that for my computer. You could have charging stations that are out in the open and then maybe move them so they're a bit more tucked away. Or go on Amazon and simply look up cable management and they have all kinds of ideas for things that you could do. Just really interesting things that you could do to fix these problems in your home, and they don't cost a lot of money, but they make a huge amount of difference in eliminating that visual clutter from your space. Okay, a few years ago, this type of decor was all the rage. You probably guessed it, it's word art, or otherwise decor with words on it. Come on, you know you have a live, laugh, love sign somewhere, right? I have a bread box that says bread. I have a butter container. I think it says butter me up. All kinds of word art going on. And then of course you see people with signs around their home, kitchen, the eating place, laundry room. These are cute, right? And they were very cute for a while, but I think that they're becoming out of favor, and they have been becoming out of favor for a while now, because what I think happens is when the human brain sees words, you actually, whether you mean to or not, you're continuously reading those words. So just imagine you're trying to relax in your living room and there's all these words around you, you're subconsciously reading them and your brain and your mind can't relax. And that's what causes this problem with visual clutter in the first place. So my suggestion and quick fix for this, what I would do is if you have these things in your home, I'm just gonna suggest try removing them for 1 week and see what happens. See how you feel. If you feel better, maybe consider not putting them back. What you could do is if you've got a piece that you really love, maybe just have that one piece, try to trim it down, but really try to exist without that word art and see how it goes. This next one is a killer for so many people and it's all about paper clutter. Just think, we get mail, our kids bring home paperwork, we get invoices, we get bills, we get photos, all kinds of things. The mistake here is with the paper clutter is that people do not have a designated place for paper. If you have your paper all over the house, you've got paper piles in the kitchen, a stack of papers in the living room, a stack of papers in your bedroom, papers all over, it's just gonna create more visual clutter for you. So I would recommend the easy fix here is just designate a space that you can put all of your clutter. It could be a part of a table, it could be a basket, it could be a file box. It really doesn't matter what it is. The important thing is that you get all your paper in one place, and then that way everything's together. It's not all over the house. And if you need something in that pile and if you need to go look for it, you know exactly where it is. By the way, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy content like this. It's free. So one thing about me is I love colors. I am all about colors. If you've watched my channel before, you know that I just can't with the all white homes. I need some color in my life. And maybe you're the same, but one of the mistakes that people make with colors is they incorporate too many patterns in one space. So just think of a space and think of big, bold colors and then lots of big, bold patterns all in the same room. This is all going to start appearing like clutter to your eye and clutter in your brain. If you combine multiple patterns and colors and things together, it just makes your space feel a little bit overwhelming. And a lot of times these patterns exist in the form of soft decor. So I'm talking about pillows, curtains, throw blankets, all of these things are in the shops and they look really exciting and fun and you want to buy them because they're going to liven up your room. But the thing is, we don't usually just buy one pillow or one blanket. People usually have multiple. And so then when you start decorating with all of these, it just gets very busy in the room. So try to think about this fix here is try to think about what can you eliminate? What can you take away? Don't take away the color. I think the colors are great, but try to see if you can eliminate some of those patterns. Another thing with the soft textiles is also those small rugs, like the little area rugs. I like the big area rugs, but the small ones, I'm telling you, those simply add more pattern. They break up your floor a little bit, so it kind of breaks up the floor to your eye and makes it look a little more cluttered. And they're a tripping hazard. I've said it before. Some people don't agree with me, but they are absolutely a tripping hazard. So if you've got tiny little rugs and carpets around your home that aren't serving a purpose, I could see if you have one at your front door, maybe at your kitchen sink, those actually serve a purpose. But if they're just there for decor, again, consider getting rid of them. They're just creating busyness and clutter. The next mistake is all about open shelving. And I'm not saying open shelving is a mistake. If you don't like cleaning though, I do think in the kitchen it's a little bit of a nightmare. But any open shelving that you have, it's gonna require dusting. I personally don't like dusting. It's probably my least favorite chore to do. The thing that's making your home look cluttered, if you do have these open shelves, is overstuffing your shelves. What I'm going to suggest is if you have shelves that look overstuffed and you've overstuffed them with things, take out 50% of them. Simply remove 50% of the items and see how it feels. You can put half of that stuff in storage, you can put it elsewhere, but don't overstuff those shelves. Decor is as much about what you can see as what you don't see. Kind of about negative space. And I think of the same as I do in music. When you listen to music, it's not just about the notes and the beats that you're hearing, it's also about the silence in between. And all of that together makes up this beautiful song. And that's how decor works as well. The next mistake is having too many plants in one place, or too many of any one thing for that matter. You could have a collection of things, maybe porcelain figures, maybe china dishes, too many framed photos in one place. You get the idea. It's just too much of the same thing over and over because again, this causes clutter to your eye and it's too much. Very easy fix. Just break this stuff up. If you have 5 or 6 family photos in one corner of the room, consider putting 2 or 3 there and then put the rest on the other side of the room just to break it up so that you don't have this cluster and clutter of the same thing repeating. And if you can't tell if a room looks cluttered, one of the things I love to do, and this works so well, I also do this for outfits just to make sure that they look good, but I firmly believe that photos do not lie. Right? So I like to take a picture of the room and then I look at it on my phone or on my computer so I can get a really good objective view in, does the room actually look cluttered? What is my eye drawn to in this photo? And then I know that I need to tackle that spot. For many years, I was guilty of this next mistake, and it is having a full front of your fridge. If you think about it, the fridge is the perfect place when you need to put something that you don't want to forget or something that you want to see, right? It's hanging in the middle of your kitchen, right there in front of your face. And it reminds us of things. But what happens is it sits there and then it stays there. And then you have something else that you add and then that stays there. And before you know it, you can't even see the front of your refrigerator. And maybe you don't notice it, but I will say in most kitchens, I find that the centerpiece is often the refrigerator. Sometimes people have these beautiful stoves and other things, or like a whole center island, and that could be the centerpiece, but a lot of times it's the fridge. You can't miss it. It is the centerpiece of the kitchen. And if you cover it in all of these things, I find that it really just brings the kitchen down. All of that paper clutter just makes the kitchen feel a little constricted and suffocating, and it brings your kitchen down. So my suggestion, it is such a simple fix. I thought of this years ago, and I'm sure other people have recommended this as well because it's so easy. Just simply move these papers to the side of your fridge. That way, when you walk into the kitchen and you see your fridge, you're not seeing a bunch of papers, you're seeing your nice fridge. And then you can have all those papers out. You can keep them there to remind yourself, but they're on the side where you don't see them. I feel very strongly about this next mistake, and I find there are people kind of divided on this. There are people who avoid doing this at all costs, and then there are people who do this all the time. My husband is one who does this all the time, and it is putting things on the floor. I do not like things on the floor. I don't like to put my clothes on the floor. I don't like to store things on the floor. Now listen, I get it. Sometimes we have no choice, right? We don't have room to store things. We have nowhere to put it, so we need to use the floor. But if you can, try to invest in something that you can store your things in to get it up off the floor. The floor is going to cause a lot of clutter if you start storing things there. And if you have lots of things on the floor, it's really going to make the room feel much smaller than it actually is. Because when you start taking away that floor space, your eye perceives the room as smaller. So my recommendation, if you can't get storage of some sort or invest in some furniture, I had a bunch of plants on the floor, and I went and I got a $5 thrifted chair. I love the chair. I think it's so cute. Put my plants on it, got my plants up off the floor. It looks great. I think this next mistake is big, and I don't think enough people talk about it. But what I'm going to say is a big, big mistake that people make is that they put clutter in a few places or put stuff in a few places that really causes a problem. Hallways, doorways, stairways. You do not want to have things stored or cluttered in those areas. The minute you put something in a hallway, it becomes cluttered. I know that on the stairs, they sell those baskets and they tell you, have a basket for everyone and they can take their stuff upstairs. That's just a tripping hazard. You don't want to make your staircase cluttered and smaller because not only does it not look nice, you could fall. I mean, that's even worse. So don't do things like that. And also with your doorways, if you have furniture in your doorways, and the way to tell is if you have a door and you can't open that door fully, try to figure out how you can get some things out of the way. Can you rearrange that room so that the doorway is functioning? Because a lot of times when you've got small spaces like the stairways, the hallways, and the doorways, and you're putting stuff there, it really clutters up the space. It really causes a lot of visual clutter. And you may not notice it because you've been doing it for years. But I'm telling you, if you open up those spaces, you're going to love it. I used to have a really big problem with this next one. And I think it's because we don't really have a front hall closet but it's the entryway, a cluttered entryway. So I think that entryways have the ability to get cluttered really easily, and that visual clutter really carries over, and it's something that you notice because right when you walk in the door, that's what you see. And not just you. Sometimes it's the only thing that your guests see. They come in for a moment and that's what they're greeted with. Why not greet yourself and your guests with an uncluttered entryway? I have some good solutions here. I mean, first and foremost, have a place to put things when you're coming into the house, all of the things that you typically have with you, shoes, keys, coats, sunglasses. Have little drop zones where you can put those things, and just try to think about your entryway as the first thing that people see, the thing that greets them, and figure out how you can make it a little bit less cluttered. Because when you walk into a cluttered entryway, it just sets the tone for your whole time that you're in your home. It sets the tone for all of your guests. I feel so strongly about this one. I did a whole video on how to organize your entryway for functionality. Trust me, I love this system and how I've done it. So if that sounds like something that would help you, go ahead and click on this video. I will see you over there, and thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.